Outliers, Niyama and Shang here, and thank you so much for joining us here on the Outliers Edge Roundtable. This is a special treat, y'all, because mark it down. Today, on November 14th, 2025, we have taken Outliers Edge Roundtables and we are going live. This is happening on all the socials at the same time. We're gonna have the same awesome conversation. But what I'm really excited about is two things. One, you're going to be able to just see how the energy is made. Two, I think it just changes. It gives us a chance to show up in a different context without having to be anywhere near as polished or beyond. And then three, like you're still going to get the same awesome conversation that will still be available to you on podcasts and everything else afterwards. My thoughts are, why not just like give everything as much as we can to as many people who want it in the way that fits them. So let's go ahead and play. Today, I'm really excited. I have an incredible outlier who's joining me for the conversation. LaChelle, I'm so glad that you are here. Can you let us know more about you and the game you are playing?
Oh my gosh, like when you and I first connected about you and your mission and all of the things that you're doing, I'm like, okay, sign me up because this is me. So I'm just going to give you guys a little background. So if I could start from the place of I have what I would consider like 100 years of education to become a nurse anesthetist. And I was living my dream life as a doctor of nurse anesthesia person working for the best medical facility in the country, probably in the world, and speaking and doing all these cool things. I was professor for the doctor of nurse anesthesia program there. And I literally was checking the boxes, like get the degree, check, have the dream job, check. But honestly, like what was the issue is that in 2016, I was introduced to my first online business. And I got to tell you, brother, like I didn't even know that I wanted this until it fell into my lap and I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I had no business starting a business. I was crazy busy. I was finishing up my last semester in my doctorate program. I had 2 kids, the husband, the full life, the career, all the things. I'm like, why in the heck would I start a business? And I got to tell you that experience gave me what I call the glimpse into the and life, knowing that there is actually something that is out there that can give me this feeling of being fulfilled and challenged and alive and allow me to be a more present mom and wife. And I felt like my world went from black and white to color. But for the longest time between 2016 when I started that business and when I finally left that full-time fancy career, I felt like I was in the middle. I had a foot in 2 boats at the same time, didn't know really where I belonged. And when we talk today about going live on this show, it's like the decision, man, like making the decision to do something can be so hard and we overthink it. And when we make the decision, it's like, why didn't I do that before? And that's why I'm here, because you guys, I get you. I totally get you.
This is incredible. I like so outliers. Just so you know, like Sheldon didn't know we were going to go live because I didn't know we were going to go live. I literally was on a walk right beforehand, and I was looking at my calendar and saying like, okay, how do we actually like I have this thing I call collapse time. All right, which is like it's like okay, it could take a long time, but if we were just gonna bring it into the now, like what would need to happen? And it was just really clear. I was like, I have to at least ask. I have to at least put out the question and see like, hey, we didn't have this planned, but maybe we can go and play. And like the decision was clear. You're like, I'm in either way. We're good to go. So uh, I love this element about the decision. Like, take me here. When did you? So you're in 2016. You heard this. You had a good job. You had a
Yeah,
good life,
yeah,
right? And if I'm
yeah.
hearing from you, you're like, but I think that there's a better something for me on the other side of this. Is this right?
100%. And so that's the thing, that sometimes it doesn't even reveal itself, easily. It really came from an after the fact. So I have this weird obsession with creating new streams of income. Like it's so fun for me. Somebody asked me recently, like, how many streams of income do you have? I'm like, I don't know, like 12, right? Because it's fun for me to be like, oh my gosh, like you can totally make a difference and you can monetize that, right? So here I am, like in my busy life, doing all the things, literally living my dream life, right? And I was introduced to this business that would allow me to sell skincare online. Now, here's the deal. I wasn't even washing my face. Like, that's how hilarious this is, quite honestly. Like, this isn't just like a lifelong dream of mine. I was just like, whatever Pantene Pro V happened to fall on my face in the shower accidentally was what I was using, right? But I saw the potential in this. And what happened next was that I said yes to this thing that wouldn't go away. It kept just nudging on me in the back of my mind. And it was when I said yes to that, that the rest of the why actually came afterwards. And I didn't realize, honestly, that I was living a life that was now I would consider fine, the black and white life that I thought was good, until I realized that there was better. And I realized that I didn't have all the things that I wanted, but I was also the mom that was tearing into the daycare center at 5:59 p.m., hoping that I wasn't going to be late and get charged for it. I knew that I was giving my family my sloppy leftovers. I knew that whatever ladder I was climbing at work was never going to be enough, and that I would want the next one because I was an overachiever. And it felt like I was basically putting my ladder up against the wrong building, if you know what I'm saying, right? And it's like I didn't understand that I was against the wrong building until I got a glimpse, accidentally, honestly, it just kind of feels like that, to be like, wait a minute, like I can actually do something that's going to light me up even bigger than what I'm doing now. And I can actually spend more time. And that's really honestly what changed everything for me. But I will say that that decision, we talked about decisions a second ago, didn't come easily. I had to think about it for a while. And then I made the decision. I said go. But I also got to tell you guys that personal development has to come along with the paycheck. And once I said yes to the business, all of a sudden, all of my insecurities, all of the things that I had been band-aiding with more degrees and a better job and a better title started to come to the surface. And I realized, honestly, that my attempt to continue to expand my career was really just me proving to myself that I was worth it.
Mm,
Yikes.
mm.
Like that's like heavy.
No, like, but it also just lands. When I hear you say this, there's a lot of just like synergy. Like I'm feeling you right here,
Yeah,
and there's before we got on here, we were talking about like who are the outliers that we're talking to, right? And
yeah,
you're like, are they entrepreneurial? Or are they like in the different cases? And there was something about what you said. Like once you said yes to like going down the entrepreneurial path, it like the insecurities there was no other place for it to hide. Like it almost like felt like it was like front and center. And so as you said that and something came clear to me, I'm like, oh yeah, this is why I talk about like bring people on businesses and so on, because it's like we don't really get the room, we don't get a paycheck, still we don't get to bring that like vision out to life if
yeah.
we're not in alignment, if we're not actually out here doing that. Can you talk to me about like some of like the process that's come for you as you've gone to like actually take on some of the things that you beforehand didn't have to like actually really address?
Oh my gosh. So, I mean, I think that worthiness piece that I just mentioned was huge. I mean, not
Mm,
realizing it, that I was chasing ways to feel better about myself. And once I started to strip away some of that stuff and have to like put myself in the line of rejection, like this is a big deal. Like I would think about this, like in 2016, when I started this business, I had 200 friends on Facebook. Okay. And if I didn't know your mom, you didn't need to know my business. Like that was like, nope, deny. Right. And I was afraid of people like seeing me, judging me. I was like the wallflower in the background because I was afraid of being judged and rejected, right? But the reality is that I wasn't even posting anything other than the occasional Toby Mac quote that I saw from somebody else. Like there was nothing vulnerable out there anyway. And so this business forced me to start putting myself out there. And then I discovered like, holy crap, I didn't die. Like I did not spontaneously combust because I just posted. Holy crap. And then I would post again. And I'm like, oh my gosh, people do not spread like the Red Sea when they see me at the grocery store because they think that I'm going to talk about my business. Holy crap. Like they actually talk to me. All of these stories that I made up in my mind about what was going to happen when I started to pursue something bigger than me, when I started to put myself out there, and all of the things that I had believed were going to happen started to slowly wisp away. And I started to face rejection. And I started to see that, gosh, I'm capable of hard things. And I started to put myself out there a little bit more and a little bit more. And then I started inspiring people along the way. And then it became a bigger calling because now that skincare business then turned into, oh my gosh, I am going to teach people how to show up on social media. And I'm going to teach them how to create a year's worth of content in a weekend. Because at the time, I was actually still working my full-time anesthesia career, managing my family, and I had this new business that I was pulling together, right? And so I had to figure out how to make it work. And I got really smart with some systems and I created some social media plan that was like killer. And I created this course, but here's the deal. People showed up and I gave them every single tool that they needed to create their content. I had somebody on my team that created their graphics for them. I had somebody on my team that would schedule out their content for them. And guess what? People kept getting stuck still. They would sit there in front of their phone or their computer and they'd spend 5 hours on one post, worried that the wording wasn't perfect. Or they wouldn't want to put themselves and their picture out there because what if it wasn't perfect? Or what if somebody saw them or judged them? And I started to realize that the same crap that I was going through is what other people are going through. And I was getting in my own way, and so were they. And so I pivoted because I'm like, I feel like this is the thing that lights me up, is helping people get out of their own stinking way. And I say that we all have big butts, and I cannot lie. It's true. It's like I would quit my job, but I don't know what I would do, or but I don't have enough money, or but nobody's gonna buy my thing. I would start this podcast, I would go live, but, right? And we all have these big butts that get in our way. And I feel like if I was able to take my life with as all of the limiting beliefs and all of the insecurities and all of the lack of knowledge and strategy that I had, and I could take that and I could create something that I have created now, and I could do it even when I had all of that crap stacked against me, and I could create a life that went black and white to color. I want everybody else to experience that too. I want people to know that if you are able to recognize the little calling within you and lean forward into trust and curiosity, that life can be even better than what you could have imagined for yourself.
So I'm hearing this and like so I'm smiling, right? And internally, I'm feeling really good about this. And I'm also recognizing this thing that I like to do, which is like I consider myself kind of meta, right? And so the component for me is that I've done podcasting on and off for about like 10 years now, and it's been one of those things where I'm like, it's one thing to say it and it's another thing to experience it,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And so, like, I like as you're talking, real things are coming up for me, right? So, the real things right now, it's like I'm shifting to a live first model, and like, like as much as we made the decision, part of I think think I told you as soon as we came here, right before we hit live, I said I'm
Yeah.
so happy. I'm so happy right now, right? Because what you're talking about, I know and have experienced, where it's like, we can put in hundreds of hours beforehand, and all you really need to do is take 1 second to hit live, or take 1 second to hit like record or to hit post or whatever it is, right? And it shows up, right? There's an element of it's almost like what I found for myself is I'm like, I c the person that I am right now
Yeah.
doesn't know what is actually needed. As much as I can read, as much as I can think about, as much as I can like use AI to help me pick my brain, it's like until we actually get into it, like I won't know. I just
Yeah.
don't, you know?
1,000%. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just about the embodiment, right? Like, who would I be to help anybody in their business or their mindset if I haven't gone through what you're going through and figured out how to come on the other side of it? And sometimes I'm still dealing with this stuff. I literally had this conversation with one of my teammates who works for me yesterday, and she's like, "What can I do, LaChelle, to free up more time with your family? Because I realize how important that is to you." I manifested her, you guys. Like, I wanted to create a beautiful ecosystem where I was able to have even more balance, more impact, and I drew her into my life. But here I was at this place where I was like, you know what? Here's the deal, Sarah. I have to be okay allowing myself to have ease and flow and grace. I have to be able to recognize that there might be mindset still that says that when it's quiet, I must find more work to do. I have to overcome those mindset gaps that prevent me from thinking that I'm lazy or unworthy if I allow things to come easily for me. And guess what? I help people create more income with more ease and flow and grace. And so the thing is that I have to acknowledge, like, holy crap, there's a block that I just had, and I can embody what I teach and shift it very fast. But I have to know what the heck I'm talking about because I've walked the walk, and I'm not just reading it in books and letting AI create my content for me.
Yeah, this is real for me. So a couple of different things that you're saying. One of them is like I hear we're talking embodiment. You're talking like you actually have the experience, and there's two things, and it's really interesting talking to you, LaChelle, about this because I've gone from I can see like how my philosophy and approach have changed over the years, right? Beforehand, I was all in on. Beforehand, I didn't know myself, so there was that, right?
Personal development with a paycheck. That's what we do.
Yes, but eventually I got into like deep coaching, and it was like, all right, let's focus on the mindsets. And then what I was realizing is that we were focusing on the mindsets, going deeper, but
Mhm.
people weren't taking action. And so then I swung over to the other side. I was like, All right, now let's just focus on the results. Let's just get things done, so on and so forth. And
Totally.
then, like when you described, like literally earlier today, I was thinking about, I was like, like
Mhm.
maybe I should just go build the things for them. That way they can just go ahead and hit click and go. And then I talk to you, but hours later, you're like, yeah, that ain't it either. That ain't like there's another thing in between there. So this is a fascinating conversation for me because I personally I'm really curious about
Yeah.
your experience of finding like, okay, what actually does work. And I see you right now, like you're like team members are like, I'm ready to take things off your plate. But you're like, but am I ready for you? Like, and not just like will I let you, but it's like, but like, will I like is my internal being one that's
Yes.
in alignment with
Yes.
that level of ease and flow, since I won't sabotage
I
it.
mean, we say that we want to manifest things, right? But then it's like energetically, if we're not ready for it, it's not going to come, right? And so we have to acknowledge this stuff. And so, honestly, it's become this place that is full circle and so clear that I was able to develop a methodology that I use with all of my clients, and it's called the flow state money method.
Mm,
And I've actually added a fourth step to it because I think that this one is so paramount. And the first one is to get ourselves regulated with our nervous system first. So a lot of people don't realize that, and this has been a very common mindset theory in psychology that we've learned for a long time, that when we think thoughts, it creates feelings. And then the feelings create actions and the actions create results. Like that's what we've learned for a long, long time, right? That our thoughts create our feelings. What we are now discovering with the Heart Math Institute and other people who have been studying this for decades now is that our heart actually has more influence on our head than our head does on our heart. And if I can get myself regulated with my nervous system first, I actually have better energy flow that goes to my head. And my head now has more clarity. Things can drop in, ideas out of nowhere. I have creativity. I know the next step. I'm not, searching for shiny objects. I literally just have this flow. But it comes from not forcing myself to think, well, I should know better. I should have this mindset stuff down, right? It's not that. It's literally getting myself in alignment to get out of fight or flight and to say, all right, I'm good. Now I'm going to let this beautiful, coherent energy impact my brain so my brain can think better. So that's a good place to start. So that's kind of the underlying pinning there. Now, the next step is to shift our toxic thought patterns. And I'm going to give you this example because if I want to make the decision to go live, but I'm starting to think about it like, gosh, but what if this goes wrong? What if the technology doesn't work? What if nobody even sees this and we have to re-record? What if, right? And so we allow ourselves to get these toxic thought patterns and this limiting beliefs and our lack of confidence and worthiness and whatever the case may be, prevent us from making the decisions. And so it really comes down to recognizing, where are my big butts? What are the fears? What are the insecurities? What are the limiting beliefs that have been running like autopilot puppet strings in the background that are preventing me from making the decision? So that's the mindset piece that you were talking about earlier with the addition of the neuroregulation. Now we get into my sweet spot. This is like where I just love to be. And this is the discernment piece, because I believe that we can tap into greater source intelligence than what we personally can do on our own. We have access to the answers that we need because we tap into it energetically. And we are our own guru. And so when we think we're hiring somebody, I had a sales call earlier today and I said, if you're hiring me to give you the strategy, then you're hiring the wrong person. What I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you to determine what your next strategy is. And not only to hear it, but to trust that you heard it correctly and to have the confidence to act on it. And then once we know what strategy we should do next, then we get into aligned action. Then we implement the automation, the delegation, the AI stuff, the organization, and all the things that can happen to make that happen easier. But you have to be able to discern what is your next step. And oftentimes what I see happen is, okay, so Sarah says to me, LaChelle, what can I do to make this easier for you? And here's the deal, guys. You already know the freaking answer. You do. You just either don't want to admit it, you don't want to say it, you don't want to acknowledge it because it's too scary. And so the thing is that we know what we need to do. We have the ability to make the decision, but it's the things that are holding us back from making the decision. And so that's where I had to recognize, like, oh my goodness, where are some toxic thoughts that are holding me back from making this decision? So I quick do that little part. then I make the damn decision. And now I have the things that I can do to actually execute it. And so this is where we don't stay in an all or nothing, black or white implementation without mindset, or mindset and stuck in the weeds and analyzing ourselves till we're 90 years old. This is where we get to go in flow all the time. What is the next decision I have to make? Do I trust my discernment? Do I not trust my discernment? Okay, I'm going to back up and figure out my butt. All right, I figured out my butt. Now what's my discernment? Now I'm going to take myself into action. And every single time I find my butt, I like, okay, there's a tactical thought I have to have, and I have to adjust that. And it's amazing because I see people having massive forward momentum because they're not stuck in one camp or the other, but they're allowing it to flow and allow themselves to learn confidence by action, by embodying it versus by reading about it or watching somebody else or waiting for the right time or waiting for X, Y, or Z to take place before they actually do anything.
So outliers, I'm gonna have you like right now just check in with yourself, right? Like, so this conversation is not just meant to be information, right? Like we're good. Like LaChelle and I, we're fine, right? The real thing here is for it to be something with you, right? So if we're talking about embodiment, like take some time right now to just check in with yourself here. Like, where is this lining up? Where is this showing up for you in your world right now, right? And like LaChelle just walked us these three different areas of the framework, like check in with that for yourself and play that out in at least one meaningful area. Like I want to make sure that like we're actually getting something in real time around this year. So I'm grateful that you brought this in. I'm going to ask you a different question in just a bit, but is there anything else you want to say about what we were just talking about right now?
Well, I kind of do actually. I'm feeling
Yeah.
led. If you're okay with that, I'm
Yeah,
going to
no, go with it.
my gut here.
Yeah.
So what I have found is that when we come back to decisions, which is
Yeah.
kind of what we've been talking about this whole time, right? What I have found honestly is that there are simply 7 things that I see hold people back from making that decision and keep coming back to not being able to implement the strategies and staying stuck. Do you mind if I quickly say what those are?
Go through it.
Okay, so the first one is not recognizing that we have a power of choice. You can either be subject to something or you can allow yourself to rise above it. And you always have to decide that you are not subject to anything and take the decision and stance to come from an empowered place of what can I do? Okay. The next one is to recognize that you are special, that there are things that you are uniquely designed to do because you are beautifully made to do it. And so knowing what sets you apart and knowing having clarity around what that vision is and what those strengths are is going to be paramount to this. The next one is being able to trust your discernment, to be able to know that you have an intuition that's guiding you all the time. Are you listening? Are you understanding? The next one is being able to have the confident belief in yourself and recognizing where those limiting beliefs are that are holding you back. Then I find that we get into courage. This is where we get stuck in fear. And I recognize that anatomy of fear is the same regardless of what fear it is. And so if you can discover how to be brave no matter what it is, it'll change your life. The next C, the sixth C is to be consistent. So this is where you implement automation, delegation, organization, all of the things that allow us to actually implement and not have to be stuck in shame and guilt because we're not disciplined enough or motivated enough. Like this is allowing discipline, but also getting all of the systems in place to help that. And then the final one is conquer. This is where you get to acknowledge the bigger why. You get to acknowledge why you're doing this and allow you to be resilient because life does not continue down this upward stance. It is gonna go up and down. And unless you really know why you're doing this, and unless you are able to handle those ups and downs, you're gonna get stuck and you're gonna get sucked into what I call the fine vortex, which I hate. Fine is my least favorite 4-letter F word. I'm just gonna say it. Because we can get sucked into fine, and fine is going to be fine until it's not. And I don't want any of us to be 85 years old and be like, my marriage was fine, my job was fine, my family was fine, my body was fine, and we regret it.
I love this here. Like take us through real quick, just like the one words at a time here. Like take us through those 7 so we can just like
Yeah.
kind of hear it all at once.
Yep. So choice, clarity, connection to spirit, confidence, courage, consistency, and conquer.
Boom. All right, outliers, you got that here. I love this process because as you're talking, I'm like, oh, I get it. I get what's coming in. What was really fun was when you brought in like consistency, and that was like number six. You're like, this is automation time, right? You're like, we tried to start with number six as number one, and it didn't work. There was like five other things to do beforehand, right? And I love this too because like, not like I'm going to ask you to think about this. Like, where in your game right now are you trying to start with like level six, or where do people need to be in order to be ready for that? Maybe people have done one through five over in LaChelle's world, and like like, but like there's something there where I think like sometimes look, I'll call myself in on this, where it's like, oh, we must be doing this like it's the wrong thing. It's like, is it actually the wrong thing, or are we just meeting people at the wrong time, or haven't taken care of like what they need to actually need to do or be in order to be prepared for what we have to really offer, you know?
100%.
So, so there's something that's going on for me that I want to dive into, and the idea for me here is really around like going pro, right? And so like I go and I experience you right now, and like we talk about 2016, it's 2015, 2025 as we did, we were going back in time, right? But it's 2025, we were having this conversation, and I'm thinking about this for myself and for others that have gone like in this space where it's like, look, there's a lot of people who like have like found out about online business, a lot of people who like figure out like, oh, there's something I can do to give me more like time freedom, more money freedom, there's like I can do all those things, but they don't get to the place where they actually like are able to create the successes that they want to create from the business. It doesn't actually give them exactly what they're looking for. They're still working, they still have to like, bide their time and so on and so forth. So I think for me, and like, yeah, I'm really curious about this. And there may be multiple levels of this because I'm asking this, Michelle, because I'm also experiencing some level of this for myself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I've been in this game for a long time, but I'm like, there's still another level to access. And so
Mhm.
I'm going to ask it in this way here. Like, take us to the time where you felt like you shifted from going from being an amateur to a pro, right? And then later on, I'll ask you about pro to all star. But let's start from at like amateur to a pro, and tell us about like what was going on there, and like what were some of the things that you thought were true that like you're like, oh, if I'm really gonna play this game, this is how I gotta show up.
No, totally. I got you, brother. Like straight up, it's the day that I quit my job.
Yeah.
So you got to think about this. Like I married a teacher. Teachers do not get paid enough, you guys. So I was a breadwinner of our family. I had a really healthy job with the pension. Like I had all of it, right? And I had gone to school for a really long time, and it was literally like my dream job. And I stepped away from it. But for the longest time, I didn't. And I was stuck between these two worlds. Like I said before, like I had one foot in two boats.
Mm.
And I wasn't really stable in either one. I couldn't really go all in at the hospital. I couldn't really go all in with my business. My family kind of got stuck somewhere in the middle. And it was this moment where I decided that I needed to shit or get off the pot. I needed to decide whether my dreams were worth the risk or not. And it was the decision of doing that that all of a sudden, no lie, everything started to fall into place. And so, what happened? I'm going to tell you a little bit of backstory because I want you guys to understand that it's not easy sometimes. And I get you, I see you. And sometimes we have to recognize that the pain has to be more than the fine that we've been dealing with, right? Because I was fine. I could deal with it. I don't want to deal with things anymore, guys. I don't want you to have to deal with it. I want you to live vibrantly. And so this is the thing. So it was the year before, probably 6 months before I decided to step down. And I received this International Leadership Award for customer service. And I had the opportunity to fly to London to accept this award on the red carpet. Couldn't get the time off at the hospital. The people were lovely. They're like, you could accept it over Zoom, no problem. But unfortunately, it was 1 p.m. in my world, 7 o'clock their time, still wouldn't let me off of my shift. And I remember buying the sparkly dress and getting home literally 5 minutes before the Zoom started to accept this award. And it was because a lot of people helped make that possible, but not the leadership where I was. And I remember thinking, like, there's no way I can keep this up for 10 more years. There's no way that I am going to be able to continue to grow to the level that I know I'm capable of if I stay put. And so that was a turning point for me. Now, I had also been trying to get part-time. So I was like working on different solutions, right? Like maybe if I just work part-time, maybe if I do this, maybe if I do that. And a door was closed after a door was closed after a door was closed. And finally, it was like, in my opinion, God was just like, all right, if you don't make the damn decision, I'm going to help you make it where there are no other options. And so I was having some coffee with a friend of mine, and she said, LaChelle, have you ever thought about working for small hospitals just on the weekends so that you could at least like give your family a little cushion. You could keep doing anesthesia because I know you love it, but you would get 5 days to be able to do everything you want to do in business. I'm like, I've never thought about that. I got home, I went on the internet, and sure enough, my small town hospital where I grew up was needing help. And I still to this day go there and help them out about 5 days a month because I love it. But what it did was it gave me a small breadcrumb to say, okay, maybe this isn't quite as scary, but here's a stone to stand on as I take the next brave step. And then the next stone landed, and then the next stone landed. Does that make sense? And so sometimes we think it has to be all or nothing, but we have to open ourselves up to what the next little stone is going to be as it presents itself to us. You're smiling, dude. I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, I'm living and loving this here. So one of them, I love like the stone analogy, right? It's just like
Yeah.
it's like, hey, like you're moving in, and the next thing shows up, and then you take that next step with it.
Yeah.
Um, I'm also smiling because you found a way, and like because I think this like I've just been in this enough times where I'm like I think it's the online marketer's job to sell easy, and then like they walk in and people are like, why wasn't this easy? And they're like, and for some reason, like we then start to internalize it as like, oh, we must be wrong because other
Yeah.
people are getting it. Like, and so what I love about here was that like you made it clear, like you didn't just like you jumped in, you found a way to get in here, but you weren't like, I'm gonna go jump into the ocean. It's like I'm gonna go into the deep end in the pool where if I need to, I can, I put myself in an environment where
Right.
I can take the risk. I can jump in, but I don't
Right.
have to risk it all, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I love that. That was the first part for me. But what really got me, the reason that the smile came in, was that um, you didn't sacrifice who you were to do it. And what I mean by that is that like you kept doing what you were doing, but you found a different place, a place that had a different level, a different construct around what would be there. Like it wasn't like you're like, I have to now go drive Uber, or I have to go like, do something. Like you're like, nope, I can still do what I do, what I love to do. Now let me go find a place to go do this that will meet more of like my needs at this time in my life. Like how true does that feel to you? That's one of the things I'm taking away from that.
And that's why I have clients all the time. Like I had one lady who was an amazing, she's an administrator, a teacher, and she wanted to do this styling business, which is amazing, right? So she felt stuck. She felt stuck with her job. So what she did was she actually became a consultant for school districts, essentially doing what she was doing before, but helping other districts out. They weren't having to pay her a salary, they weren't having to pay her benefits. She was able to show up when she wanted to in her skill set to create the life that she wanted, to also allow for her to do the other thing that would lighten her up. You guys, it doesn't have to be an all or nothing either or. Be resourceful and allow yourself, and it goes back to it's not a coincidence that my very first C is choice, because you can either feel disempowered that life is happening to you, that there is, I could have been on that pity party couch for months because my boss didn't give me the day off. I couldn't get part time. Like nobody was helping me out. Don't they understand? Like I could have totally been there 100%, but I'm like, all right, no, what can I do from where I am with what I have?
Yeah.
And it's like, and this is where I love to bring like metaphysics in too. So this is kind of cool, right? So what happens is in the law of vibration is that we will continue to align ourselves energetically with where we are and the feelings that we have the most. So if I am feeling blameful, sorry for myself, sad, depressed, hopeless, I will literally draw in more experiences because it's aligning energetically. However, if I take myself up to an empowered place where first, neutral first, like I have to accept it for where it is. There's nothing I can do about it. I can't change their mind. This is just is. So I get myself to neutral. This just is. Now, what can I do from an empowered place? Well, I could go on the internet and look for another position in what I do. I could do this. I could do this. I could do this. And now I'm staying up here, and all of the ideas and the conversations and things just start flowing because I'm aligning myself with that vibration. And so it can be easy, but you also have to make sure that you've shifted yourself into a place that you're ready to receive the guidance, so that you're ready to receive the stones to come out for you to step on.
I really have to like just I'm all in here, like I'm shaking, I'm dancing, like because there's this components of what you're saying that I can really feel just like coming true again for me. And it's wild. Like as you're talking, I listen with like with the ears of an outlier, right? And I'm like, these people, they've done like, professional development, personal development. They're not on like 101 kind of things. Like they're playing their game, And what's hitting me, LaChelle, is that like as you're saying it, it still feels true to me. I'm still seeing things from just last week, earlier today, just even the vibrational frequency. So for me, I realized recently that my soul came back online. Right. I started doing a priming exercise, started doing Qigong, and I'd been doing it for years in like 2018 and 2020. I didn't do it for like 5 years. And once it came back on, like it was no like the reason we're doing live streams is because of this. It's
Mhm.
like, oh, for the movement that I'm here to lead, like you're not leading the movement unless you're like what you're doing right now is you're saying it, but you're not acting in alignment with it. But like my vibrational frequency needed to be at a higher level. That's what I call like my soul being online. It's like, dude, you got a mission to go do, right? And even coming into this conversation, I had it completely planned that we were just like going to just do our normal thing. We'll be on Zoom. We'll get it out there. And I went on a walk, and and while I was on that walk, I was listening to the other priming element that I do. And there was something that occurred in the middle of it that just like woke me up in the middle of it. I was like, oh wait, like this is it. It's right now. Like life is happening right now. The choice is available right now. Like we can either wait more, or we can go and throw the first stone in so that
Yep.
we can then go and see what the next stone is, and
Yeah.
so on and so forth.
100%. And so you literally are living out step 2 of my framework, which is
Mhm.
you're having discernment, you're trusting your discernment. You allowed your intuition, you allowed your spirit to say this is your next step. And when we do that, you guys, that is where the quantum leaps happen. We say in this physical plane that we say it's going to take 20 steps, 20 years, all these things that have to happen for this to get to this point. Doesn't. I talk about this a lot. I use the analogy Finding Nemo. Do you remember? Have you seen that movie?
So my nickname for 20 years was Nemo. So yeah,
Okay, all right. So yes,
I'm in on it.
you know the scene in the movie, right, where Dory and Marlin are swimming, and Dory, she represents a lot of us. She's like, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. I'm just gonna keep my smile on and just keep telling myself I'm fine. I'm just gonna keep swimming. And they get to this point where they meet Crush the turtle, right? And Crush is like, hey dudes, all you needed to do is get into the EAC. And without any more effort of their own, they got into the Eastern Australian current and it shot them right into Sydney. It didn't have to take hours and days and weeks of swimming through the ocean. They just had to be intuitive enough to listen to the pull to Crush the turtle, listen to him, and actually take the action to get into the current. And it took them where they needed to go faster. And that's what can happen when you get into quantum alignment.
That's a cool analogy. I like I just watched it the other day. It's so funny because over the years that like now I watch it, and now that I have two young kids, it like just keeps bringing tears to my eyes. So I have to like watch, like hold out. I'm like, am I ready to be tender? Um, But, like, I love that analogy when you put it in there because it's such a, like, a visual way of saying it, and it's fun because it's like you watch it and, like, it makes perfect sense, and so it's really lovely to pull that out from the movie, from that context, and be able to be like we can get in the flow, y'all. Like, flow exists like this.
We totally can. And I
Yeah.
think that something else that you said, is so important because you took the hit, the energetic hit to do this. And then you took the action. You asked me, and then we went in this cool platform that you're using today, and you hit the live button, and here we are, right? You had to actually follow through and take the action. And I think that one of the things that what you're saying is really hitting home to me because I myself have been feeling for 2025 that I am on my starting point of my movement. And it's
Mm.
not the business anymore. And it's just so cool because you're reflecting back at me. And I think that oftentimes you guys, again, if you can trust the intuitional hit and you get out of your own way, you can take that next step in obedience and then it's going to lead you to the next and it's going to lead you to the next. Because when I said yes to skincare, I never thought I was going to start a spiritual movement. But that is where the journey has brought me because I said yes, and then I said yes, and then I said yes, and then I said yes.
Oh, I
Right?
love it. I love, love, love that. That is, there's something in that was just so perfect. By the way, Michelle, because it's like, yeah. Actually, the first step was skincare. Like, we're not even in that world at all. You
No.
know, there's one more thing I want to bring in. It's something that's been playing out from
Yeah.
the actually there's two, right? So the two things here, and we'll see where we are in time. We're going to be wrapping up really soon, so we'll probably only get a chance to do one. There was one component of like you're like I'm someone who likes to have a lot of different like revenue streams,
Mhm.
right? And so there's a component of me that got curious about like this journey of like of your business compared to various revenue streams, right? And like how you look at and see the two of them. That's
Yes.
one.
Yes.
But the thing that like especially like this now me also just being a bit selfish here. I think that like I think it works best when I'm actually interested in the answers to the questions. Um, but I want to talk about like we gotten like how you came into the game. I actually
Mhm.
want to go further to like all right, like now you went pro. What was the difference between going pro and all star? Like because like I get the pleasure of having talked to hundreds of people through this platform, and there's something really special about you and the way that you choose to show up, the way that you like bring things into the space here, like and so like there's I'm really curious here for I'm thinking about it from the standpoint of like we can do the actions, we can follow the things here, but there's sometimes where something seems to click, right? It might be an external thing. I think I would actually be interested in both the external and the internal. Knowing and outliers here, this it's not that we just have to go do the external thing and we'll get it. It's
Right.
not that.
Mhm.
But I am actually really curious about like okay, when did things just go from being like this is a normal business, I'm doing my thing, we're kind of struggling along, we're coming along, to like yo we're doing so well. We might like let's go to movement on this. You
I
know.
mean, I kind of gave you guys my secret sauce already in the sense
Mm,
of the full state money method is literally what changed for me. So I will tell you that, and I wrote about this in my book because once I quit my job, I thought that I was going to literally have sunshine and rainbows and unicorns flying on my butt. Like I literally thought that I would wake up every day and be like, this is the most amazing life. And it was, but not all the time. And then I thought, what the heck did I do? Right. And so then what was happening is I was kind of floundering a little bit like, do I like this? Do I like this? And then I caught myself getting sucked back into my overachieving tendencies and doing all the damn things. So if a guru told me to do this, then I would do that plus five. Or I would have this guru and this guru and this guru tell me, and I would do all the dang things. And I was burning myself out. And that's where I was stuck. Outside, I looked like I was successful. Inside, I'm like, this is not feeling good to me. And it was when I brought the spiritual part of that into this, when I started to understand quantum physics and I understood brain science and I understood how I can literally bypass the steps 1 through 12 if I just get into freaking alignment with me. And I stopped listening to all the gurus. I stopped doing all the things everybody said because what was happening honestly was I would do all the things, and I share this with people all the time. This is a very common pattern I see with myself in the past and with clients. They come in and they're eager and they're like, I'm going to do this. And they implement a strategy. And then they see another shiny new object and they implement that. And then they implement that. And then now all of a sudden they have this knot of doing of all the things, but there's no way we can do all of them well. And not all of them are for us. Not all of them are aligned to our energy and our wiring and our gifting. And just because it worked for Jim and Bob doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And so it's really just us getting caught in this web of doing. And then what happens is we get burned out, frustrated. We start doubting whether it's we're qualified to do this. We start doubting whether we even trusted this calling to begin with. Like, what the heck was I thinking? And then we want to give up. And that's where I was. And what I needed to understand was there is a very beautiful thing that happens when we focus on the be before the do. Be, do, have. And I had to work on who I needed to be. I had to be whole and worthy and be willing to get into flow. And we talked about that a little bit. Like sometimes marketers, they're like, all you need to do is post once a week and you're going to have $10,000 months. Bullshit. Right? They give up all these things, but I also believe that there's another end of the spectrum where the people like myself hustle for the sake of hustling. And we think that we have to work hard for our money and that it's a badge of honor that we're not lazy. So we work ourselves into exhaustion. And what I found in that middle beautiful ground is that when I get to be whole and it healed some of those limiting beliefs and the things that were holding me back. And I really learned to trust spirit and intuition and take that step because one aligned step is going to be more fruitful than 1,000 of the gurus that have told me what to do. But it's trusting that step and then taking the obedient step and doing it, executing it, not getting in your own way, but actually executing with excellence. And I can get more done in one aligned step than I could 1,000 of my own before. And that's really honestly what the difference has been. And that's
I
where the
think this
movement,
is. Say it again. Say that last bit one more time.
and that's part of where the movement is going.
I love
I,
it.
yeah, we could go on and on about that, but yeah.
Like this is it's phenomenal, right? Like I one of the things I get about you is that you're in alignment, and that's massive. And I think that like we have alignment, we have I appreciate that. I think the alignment is that you walk your talk, you
Mm.
know. And part of what I hear from you, because I am really curious. I'm like, all right, when did you go from just doing the things to knocking in? And so I appreciate you being forthcoming with that for you. So we're at the end of where this conversation is going to go. I might have you come back again, and like we'll just keep jamming here. What I want to do is, like, first I want to ask all of you outliers out there that are listening and watching this here. Do us a favor. Like, this conversation was not meant for just the two of us, or to just like be in this space here. Please go out and share this out in your world. We ask you to share it in a way that, like, you can let your world overall know about it. Like, please let that happen. But I think that there's someone out there in your world who would specifically benefit from this conversation LaChelle and I have had, right? Who's sitting at that place of decision points, who's looking and saying, how do I go from being an amateur to pro, and go from pro to all-star, and to take themselves through the entire journey and framework that LaChelle has put out here. Like, my ask is that you share this episode and this conversation. The thing about the episode feels like off, but share this conversation with intention and let them know, like, as a gift, like, hey, this conversation happened and I was thinking about you for it. If you would share it with that one person, we call it the one person, one conversation at a time initiative, it would mean the absolute world to me. All right. Thank you for that. So, LaChelle, what I'm going to ask here is that we're going to wrap up. And the way that I wrap up is that I actually like to put outliers over to the side. So, in this case here, they've gotten what they need to get from you. They're like they're going to process this on there. We're going
Yeah.
to do two things. One, I'm going to ask you to share, for any outlier that wants to go deeper down the journey with you, what's the best way that they can do that. And then the second thing that we're going to do is that I'm going to ask you for your insight. So the only reason I do these conversations, well, not the, one of the main reasons I do this, I know what I want to say. The only reason I'm in conversation is for it to be a life-changing conversation, right? And so in that case, I want to hear from you, for yourself. What are some insights that you are taking away from this conversation, if any, right? So let outliers know how they can go deeper down the journey with you, and then what insights you got, if any.
Absolutely. Okay, so first off, I'm going to make this super easy. You can see my name on the screen. It's LaChelle Wieme. You can find me at LaChelleWieme.com, at LaChelle Wieme, and all the channels. So YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, all the places. So just keep it simple. Follow my name. Come check me out. Say hi. Say that you are on this platform, and I want to just like say thank you for listening. First of all, what did I get from this conversation? Honestly, alignment, dude. Like, our energy is so contagious together. And I feel like when you can surround yourself, you guys, with people that light you up, that bring out the best in you, that allow for, every single cell in my body is like sparkling, because it's like I'm just lit up because I'm in resonance with you. And I think that this is going to be so important for all of us, that if you want to continue to be able to withstand the hard parts of life and the realities of things, and being the outlier can sometimes feel lonely, finding people that make your cells in your body sparkle, because you're coming alive when you're with people that make you feel alive, right? And then I just want to say that just the fact that you've used the word movement a couple times is literally, I have a process that I use that can take me into theta brainwaves. And at the end of the beginning of this year, I took myself into the state specifically to give myself the vision for 2025. And I took myself through a meditation recently. It was the same exact vision, and it's the movement. And I just want to say thank you for the nudge on my heart, that it's time for me to make the decisions that I have to make. And I just want to say thank you for that.
Oh, most certainly, LaChelle. Like, this is it. Like, we've been playing, and it's like I recognize it. It's here. It's here. Right? Outliers, I want to thank you all for being you and being a part of this here. And until the next time we talk, be you on purpose. Until then, journey on.